Hello everyone, back again with me, Stephanie, your favorite podcast host, and I'm very happy to have you guys with me today. So, for those who are new, I recently just finished my degree in UITM, and I've decided to start this podcast to talk about the real student experience and the challenges we face in education. And as you can see, I am not alone today because I'm joined by a special guest who will be sharing her thoughts and experience on to this topic. So, before we jump in, would you like to introduce yourself to our listener?
Hello everyone, my name is Billy and I'm currently in my second semester studying TESOL at university.
So, thank you so much. And in today's episode, we're diving into a topic that hit close to home, which is the issue of university access. We'll be talking about the limited quotas, fairness in admission, and the awareness gap among students when choosing their education pathways.
Mhm. And as someone who just recently went through the whole process and journey of getting into university, there's actually a lot of topics that I want to share with you guys and also challenges that students nowadays have to face to get a spot in our public universities.
So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, in this past few years, we can see that access to university education has become an important global issue as it affects social mobility, economic growth, and the equality of opportunity. While this higher education can open doors to better careers and much more personal development, not everyone has equal access to it.
That's true, Penny. And as a result of these situations, it often leads to frustration and sadness and disappointment among students who really work hard but still didn't get any spot in their favorite university. And from my experience, I saw that my friends who faced this challenge, they began to lose some motivation, and then they question themselves whether all their hard work are really worthwhile, and the emotional impact of emotional impact of this situation can be really significant, especially for those who had high hopes of pursuing their dream in their favorite university.
So, the first issue that we're going to discuss is the limited spot, as the number of available spot is very small compared to the large number of students applying to university. As we can see, year by year, access to university education has become an important global issue as it affects social mobility, economic growth, and equality of opportunity. While higher education can open doors to better opportunities and much more self-improved development, not everyone has the equal access to it. So, the first issue that we're going to discuss is the limited spot, as the number of available spot is very small compared to the large number of student applying to the university.
Yeah, as a result of this situation, it often leads to emotional like frustration, sadness, and disappointment among the student who worked really, really hard but still did not get an offer. And from my experience, some of my friends who face these challenges, they often start to lose their motivation and they start to question themselves whether their efforts were really, really worthwhile. And the emotional impact of this situation, it can be very significant, especially for those who had really high hopes of entering their favorite university.
I can see how it affect our emotional uh, wellness. And for example, public university like the University of Malaya, UKM, and UPM face this challenge every year. These institutions have limited capacity due to the factor of classroom spaces, lectures, and hostel facilities, and they can only take a certain amount of student because by then if they took too many students their quality of teaching and resource will not be sufficient to support the other student. As a result, even though thousands of students apply, only a small group gets opportunity. So I think this situation creates intense competition among students, especially for popular courses like medicine, engineering, and laws. Many students who perform well in school still end up disappointed when they don't receive an offer. It it's a tough it's a tough situation and reality that highlights how the limited spot system affect student dreams and the country potential to develop more skilled professionals. And talking from my experience, um, I can say that after I finished high school, originally I wanted to enter medication. However, even though I got in my opinion, a very good result, I did not get in. But my friends that got lower result than me somehow got in, and honestly, I feel very demotivated. I feel so sad, and
You start to question yourself.
yeah, I started to question myself, and personally, it took me a while to gain my confidence back, and that's why I ended up enrolling into STPM instead. How about you? Do you have any experience about the limited spot problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I do. I think everyone who are facing this journey of getting into university, they somehow have some challenges that they have to face. Um, Before sharing my experience, I think the major factors that make students have to face the limited spot in university are because of financial problems and social background, right?
I agree. I agree.
And for my experience, I faced some financial problems back then when I was getting an offer to get into which was actually my dream university. When I look up the entry fee, I was very shocked because the entry fee was way too expensive for me.
I can see that. That's so. What happened?
And after that, I have to, sadly, I have to reject
That's see, everyone. It's a tough reality for us. For someone, especially for peoples that come from social background that don't have that much money, especially me personally. I My family was in poverty for many years, and in my opinion, education itself is a, what do you call that word, is such a blessing to even have, because my parents get to didn't get to even step their foot into university. So from my own experience, back then, originally my plan was, after I finished high school, I wanted to enter yeah, I wanted to go to matriculation, and I did ended up getting good grades on SPM. However, sadly, I did not get any offer to get into matriculation, and honestly, I was sad and upset because my classmate and my friends that got lower result than me somehow got in, but I didn't get in. And personally, at first, I think that it is very unfair, and even until now, I still do think that it's unfair. And um, at that time, it took me a while to regain my confidence back, because I was very, I was feeling very demotivated. I feel like I wasn't good enough, and I started to question myself. But I have learned to accept it, and that's why I decided to get into SPM instead. So that's my experience. How about you, Billy? Do you have any experience about this issue?
I think every student that went through the journey and process of getting into university, they have to at least like face these challenges, and I think some of the challenges that they have to face are financial problem and social background problem. For me, from my experience, I faced some financial problem back then. When I just finished my SPM and got my SPM result, I was offered to enter UM, my dream university. Yes, but when I got the offer, I looked up the entry fee, and then I was very shocked to know to know how expensive the entry fee is. And sadly, I have to reject UM.
That is, guys, imagine getting into your dream university but couldn't afford it. Sadly, that is the true reality of not only us but also many other students. As you can see, that is the true reality of life. And do you have anything more to say?
These students that came from this rural area, they need to actually have proper guidance during the application process. Some of my cousins from rural area, they are actually unaware of these scholarships and alternative pathways or even deadlines of entering the application for the university. And as for deadlines, I think we can talk about the UPU systems, right? You also experience UPU, right? And for the UPU, we actually have to fill up it in order and in a certain times. And I think if you miss UPU, it is actually hard for you to get into this public university, especially for students from this rural area.
So, I'm gonna talk about my experience on not UPU, but um, applying for UPSI. So, UPSI was actually my second option. And I waited for the application to be open. Turned out it turned out that they already did open it, but no one on social media, no one, even my teachers, they did not share anything about it, and I completely missed the application date, so I wasn't able to get into UPSI either. And I think if you after you are done with SPM, you should always be alert with this time with these dates, because if not, then you have to wait for, well, another year.
And as not only as someone who want to apply to university through UPU, if you have any other family members or if you have any other friends or if you're a teacher, you should actually be aware of these things and you have to share about this to them.
Yes, because because we as a living community, we have to support each other, especially for students. So, Belly, can you share your opinions on what do you think the government should do to overcome this issue?
I think the government should increase the university capacity by opening more courses or expanding branch campus.
I think, yes, I feel like they should definitely open more branch campus, especially in the rural areas. I mean, instead of having those students spending their monies to travel, to spend their cost on traveling, I think instead you should just open one that are closer to those areas, because not only that this will help those the the student that need it, but it will also help, like, preparing more available spot for more student.
And not only government, I think our school also need to play really vital role on this thing. I think they have to, give guidance to each and every one of the students about how to apply and when to apply to this university.
So when we think about it, the limited quota system doesn't just affect individual students, it also impacts the nation growth. Many talented young people miss a chance to contribute their skill and knowledge simply because there aren't enough places available. And it's definitely something that needs more attention if we want to make higher education fair to and accessible to everyone. So for our next topic, we're going to be talking about the quota system in our country. So Belly, what is your opinion on the quota system in our country nowadays?
So in our country, there is a quota systems in university admission, which is a policy that is designed to ensure that the opportunities for higher education are distribute more equally among students. And I think about the quota system, it is not really that transparent. I mean, most students, at least me, back then, I did not understand about this whole quota system things. Especially when it comes to UPU, it was actually a bit confusing for me.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that because back in my time, I also did not understand the GPU. So what I did is that I constantly consult my UBK teacher in order to ask her about everything about the UP because I really have no understanding about it, and I'm really thankful that my teachers are there to guide me through it.
The quota systems in our country, in Malaysia, it is actually has become one of the most debated topics in university admissions.
Right.
On one hand, there are actually positive aspect of this policy, UPU. It helps to create equal opportunities for students who might, you know, otherwise be left behind due to their social or education disadvantages. For example, for students like me, like us, who came from not really wealthy family or who don't have wealthy background, we often drive ourselves to get into public university because it is cheaper. However, when we applied to UPU, we actually did not know which one of this university that we are going to get in.
So on the other hand, there is also another criticism of the quota system because many students feel that it limits merit-based admission, meaning that some deserving candidates who perform well academically may not be offered a place in their desired courses. This can create feelings of frustration and unfairness among high achieving students who believe that university entry should be based primarily on the result and effort. Over time, this may also discourage students from working hard if they feel that their success is not entirely within their control.
hmm And talking about merit-based admission, actually, merit-based is about your academic results and your curriculum points. You know, as a students, we have to ask both of these aspect, which is from academic and from your curriculum.
You know, this reminds me of my senior back when I was in Form 4. There was this senior that everyone really admire and adore because he was one of the smartest student in school, and he's very hardworking, humble, and always helping others. As expected for SPM, he scored straight A. But to everyone's surprise, he wasn't accepted into any university. Even his target, matriculation, just like me. Um, Later, we found out that it was likely because he wasn't a Bumiputra student. He was a Chinese, and at that time, the quota system made it much harder for non-Bumiputra system to get into public university. Even with excellent result, it felt really it felt really unfair because other students with lower grades managed to get accepted. And in the end, my senior decided to continue from 6 too. And I feel like that also left a big impression on me because, well, at the end, the same thing happened to me too. So,
So, when you're talking about him being not getting accepted because he is Chinese, is it because that the university that he wants to get in, or the matriculation, is it because they only accept Bumiputra student?
not exactly. How uh, it's it's because some of this university or matriculation, they have a system where they have they have already set a quota for races. Like for example, I do not know the exact percentage that they accept in, but some university, they, okay, for example, maybe they set the quota for the Chinese people is 20%, and Indian 20%, and for Bumiputra is 60%. So in my opinion, it is very unfair to all the other races because even though even though there's a lot of people that are very capable in this in their even though there's a lot of students that are capable, but not all of them have the same chances because, as you can see, the sport is very limited.
It's I think personally I think it's weird for university or matriculation to set up a system where they have to fulfill this merit based on students' races. For me,
So we can both agree that the quota system can sometimes lead to frustration, especially among the high achieving student. Like, imagine studying hard for years and getting top grades and still not getting an offer. And I think that this um this will really make the students to start question themselves and be discouraged by it.
I saw a news on TikTok where there's this STPM leavers who got angry by the education ministers because okay, this student, he was a top student from STPM. He got 4 flat for his STPM results. However, he did not enter his dream university, which is UM. And then he voiced out his frustration, um, and he said that he yes online, and he said he actually deserved a place in UM. And some this draw attention to the public. Some people said that UPU should make the system more transparent to students. Some said that these students from STPM, they are too you know being too brutal to the to these systems.
Personally, I feel I can sort of understand
Frustration.
the frustration because, like I said earlier, imagine studying hard for years and not getting accepted. However,
I think there are some reasons that I think there are valid reasons actually for UM to not accept him as a student.
maybe his merit was low. Maybe even though he had excellent result. He didn't participate much in
Curriculum.
so yeah. But in my opinion, instead of to fix this problem, instead of removing the system entirely, a more balanced solution might work better. For example, university could use a need-based selection process that consider a student financial situation or background, along with their academic performance. And another idea is to combine merit and social background all together, so that students who perform well and come from challenging circumstances both get fair opportunities. Like this kind of middle ground approach could help reduce the sense of unfairness while still keeping the goal of equal access for everyone.
This would allow students from low income family who really need supports to get benefits from the systems without completely sidelining academic merit.
So, as we can see, at the end of the day, the quota system is a complicated issue. It was created with good intention, which is to make education more equal and to support students who need it most. But over time, it has also raised questions about fairness and merit. Stories like my senior show that even the best student can sometimes still be left out because of how the system works.
And the goal should be to give every student, regardless of their background, a fair chance to pursue education, based on both their abilities and their circumstances.
Now, moving on to the last issue that we're discussing today, which is about the awareness gap among students. A lot of students actually don't fully understand the different education pathways available after secondary school. Many of them aren't really sure what the difference are between STPM, matriculation, diploma, or foundation programs.
For example, certain degree programs may only accept students from specific routes, like matriculations or foundations. And then, while others prefer STPM or diploma holders.
And because of that, some student ended up choosing a path that doesn't match a course or future goals that they actually wanted. For example, a student might take a program that doesn't lead to the degree that they actually wanted. And I think that is why it is so important for school to provide better careers guidance and counseling before student finish secondary school. With proper information and advice, these students can definitely make smarter decision about their future, and they can avoid wasting their time or opportunities just because they didn't fully understand their option.
Yes, I agree. Our school, they should organize more career guidance programs or talk, having our counselors or guest speakers from universities that could help students make more informed decisions. Back when I was in Form 5, I was an SPM student, right? So our counseling teacher, they always make organized programs and talks about how we choose our career path correctly based on our um, based on things that we like to do. For me, I like to teach, and then I learned that I have a huge passion in teaching. And then my counseling teacher, she told me to go for education. And then so I am pursuing TESOL right now.
So also me, I I wish that my school did the same thing because my school did not do it. Mostly mostly they just leave it up to us to research it on our own. So in my opinion, students themselves can take initiative by researching early or talking to seniors and teachers and professionals who have already gone through the process. By being more proactive and informed, students can plan their education journey better and choose the path that they truly fits their interests and their goals. Because that's because sometimes no one's gonna help us, so we have to
Help ourselves.
help ourselves. So in the end, the awareness gap might seem as like a small issue, but it can have a big impact on student future. Choosing the right education pathway isn't just about grades, and it's about understanding what fit you, your goal, and your dream. And when students don't have enough guidance, they risk taking the wrong route and losing valuable time. Um, and that is why creating more awareness through school talks, counseling, and even is very important in order to prepare the student for what they're going to choose for the future. That is all, and that is all for today's episode. So to wrap things up, we have talked about the main challenges that Malaysian students face when trying to get into public university, from limited spot to the quota system and even the awareness gap that affect how students plan their education. Um, at the end of the day, what matters is that every student deserves a fair shot at reaching their dreams, their goals, no matter what their background and where they came from.
It's also about, opportunity, guidance, and support. Every students deserve a fair chance to pursue their dream course, no matter their background or their situation.
Oh, and of course, a huge thank you to my guests for joining me today and sharing such a great insight. I really appreciate the time and perspective, and it made today's discussion much more meaningful.
Also, thank you to our host for inviting me to talk about this special topics today.
And of course, thank you to everyone else that has been listening today. And I hope this episode will got you thinking about how we can make education fairer and more accessible to everyone. And don't forget to stay tuned for the next episode where we will dive into a much more important topic that matter for students and young people like us. Until then, take care, keep learning, and never stop chasing your goal. Bye.